Alliance Française of Washington, D.C. kicks off classes July 7th, every level, beginning to advanced. Not sure yet? Try a free Zoom trial class the week of June 22nd. Register before June 18th and save with their early bird discount. Visit francedc.org to sign up or become a member today, because why not spend your summer sounding a little more Parisian? Today on CityCast DC, we're talking about the fallout so far, a day after DC's earthquake of a mayoral election. We're talking about the reaction from DC's business community, which was petrified in advance by the idea of a socialist winning. And we're talking about the Best of Pride, whose parade is this weekend. Plus, in a members-only segment, between the algae in the reflecting pool and the many, many, many closures ahead at DCA, it is a weird time on and above the National Mall. We're going to get into what it all means. I'm joined by my colleague, Kayla Cote-Stemmerman, and my new CityCast colleague, our development and business reporter, Jackie Pizer. Today is Thursday, June 18th. I'm Michael Schaefer. Here's what DC is talking about. Hey, Kayla.
Hi, Mike.
Hey, Jackie.
Hi.
Hey, before we get into like the DC mayoral and city council elections, Kayla, you watched a much more fun election of sorts, the James Beard Awards. There was one DC winner. I don't mean to sound like local yokelish, but she is ours. Susan Bay, the pastry chef from Moon Rabbit. I have not eaten of those pastries. Have you guys?
Oh my God. Yeah.
No, but
they're incredible. You've got to go. Literally last year, we did a roundup of our best bites of 2025. I don't know if you remember, Mike, but that was the one that I chose, was her dessert from Moon Rabbit. I think Moon Rabbit itself is good. It's fine. But the desserts are out of this world. I think it's so well deserved. Have you been, Jackie?
No, I'm dying to go, but I just sent my sister the website, and when she's in town, we're going to go because she's like a huge foodie, so I can't wait to try it.
For people who don't know, what kind of restaurant is it?
It's a sort of upscale Vietnamese restaurant, and her desserts really lean into sort of savory ingredients. So you'll see like seaweed and fish sauce and durian as some of the ingredients, but it all comes together in a really gorgeous and creative way, and they're plated really wonderfully. She leads this team of like all women pastry chefs back there in the kitchen, and she's actually been nominated for this award 3 years in a row. This was her third time being nominated, and she finally took home the win. There were other DC restaurants that were nominated, Maison Bar Vivant being one of them, but none of them were able to take home any medals. So it was just this one.
The other sort of piece of like woohoo, go us news from DC dining this week was Albi, which is one of my favorite restaurants in DC. It's a sort of a white tablecloth. Actually, I don't know if they literally have white tablecloths, but it's an upscale Palestinian restaurant by the stadium. It scored a 4-star review in the New York Times. I believe Washingtonian says that is the first non-New York restaurant to have gotten that honor. It's amazing, sublime. They do stuff with like pita and hummus, and that's just a start that I couldn't imagine possible.
Yeah, it's actually pretty incredible. I don't think they've ever even given out an award to a restaurant in Brooklyn. Like, nothing outside of New York. So
I feel like this is good for DC's like food cred. Like New York is so like we're the best, which, you know, arguably they do have really good restaurants, but it's nice to like
don't give in. Don't give in. You're right. DC has amazing food.
They have enough. The Knicks won. It's fine. They have enough good things going for them. Give us 4 stars.
I'm down about this. The restaurants I like, I want to see them panned because I want it to be easier to get reservations.
That is the downfall, yeah.
All right, can we talk about the election? Because it's been now a day. This is, I think, being met as like an earthquake after, you know, the whole 21st century has been DC being run by essentially sort of business-friendly, centrist mayors whose idea of what is right for the city has been like, we need to grow the tax base, make this an easier place for people who have money to want to live, because that is what will keep us from becoming insolvent. And that's had a lot of good effects, but it's also made the place incredibly hard to afford and made a lot of people feel unwelcome in their city. And the kind of bill finally came due for the establishment politicians. So Janice Lewis George, it's still not been called, but it looks very hard for her not to win. And a number of fellow Democratic Socialists were leading city council races. Other progressives were cruising. So it's going to be a pretty different atmosphere than the last few years when we've had a more centrist mayor kind of acting as a brake on some of the progressive impulses in the council. Jackie, your work as you're ramping up into your beat, you're talking to a lot of business people, a lot of people with money, vested interests. What are you hearing today, and what's your sense of how this is going to play?
Yeah, I mean, going into the election, we already knew that the business world and development real estate world was really rooting for McDuffie. He has kind of a track record of being a little bit more friendly to that side of DC. And, going in, they were concerned with JLG because, she tends to be more further left on the side of the unions, on tenants. And so there was a little bit of reticence there. And now that, this is becoming a reality, I think they're all kind of realizing, okay, we have to work with her and we have to make this work. So I can tell we don't want to make enemies vibes happening.
That's the thing about vested interests. They talk a good game in advance about how terrible everything's going to be. But then once it happens, they need to play nice because someone's going to have power. Kayla, you write about restaurants, and people cheer for their city's restaurants. We were just doing that, but ultimately these are like for-profit businesses that, in the case of the place we've been talking about, which are pretty expensive, they're for-profit businesses that cater to people with disposable income. And I know a lot of people in this scene have been really, sounding the alarms about how difficult it is to do business right now in Washington. They worry about taxes. They worry about wages they have to pay and the end of the tip minimum wage and so on. What have you been hearing today about the vibes? I know people probably can't attach their names to it, but what are they saying to you?
So the RAMW, which is DC's Restaurant Association, did back McDuffie. So this potential Janice win could be quite a blow, I think. But I did talk to Sean Townsend, who leads the Restaurant Association. And really, he just said that no one candidate is going to make or break the restaurant scene. The election was yesterday. People still have to go out to dinner tonight. People are going to go out to eat no matter what. And just that, they hope that whoever does, eventually win the race, will continue to sort of support and prioritize small businesses and restaurants. So, a bit of a nothing answer from them. But I do expect that there is some anxiety around how small businesses will be protected and helped going forward in the new administration.
Dear ChatGPT, write me a statement that will get no one mad at me. Sincerely, businessman.
I mean, I talked to the president of the DC Association of Realtors, and it's very similar. I mean, they endorse McDuffie, and his top line was, "We want to work with her, and we all are on the same team here." But one notable thing that he said was that they often go to City Hall to lobby and to talk to folks there, and Janice didn't meet with them. Her staff met with them. So I thought that was like a little interesting tidbit. He didn't infer that as, she was, kind of brushing us off. But I don't know. I would imagine that, that probably wasn't very, probably maybe put a bad taste in their mouth leading into the election.
I think one of the things we learned that's sort of related to this is Kenyon McDuffie, he's raised a lot more money than Janice Lewis George. Brooke Pinto, who was running for the congressional delegate seat, raised like 3 times as much money as Robert White, who beat her soundly. DC does have like a pretty robust public financing system so that your mailboxes and mine were full of mailers from like even pretty obscure candidates. So that the idea that these sort of deep-pocketed vested interests, that the politicians really need them for their money, I think has been kind of disproven. I mean, they obviously, deep-pocketed vested interests are important in lots of other ways. You want to keep their businesses in town because you want your constituents not to become unemployed. But the most tawdry way, where it's like, if you do our bidding, we will give you more money, that didn't have a great night on election night. And nor did the kind of establishment endorsement thing. Phil Mendelson, the BC Council chairman really tried to make it so that his old nemesis, Alyssa Silverman, former council member, would not return to the council and failed. Bowser, I looked at her schedule for election night. She went to Brooke Pinto's party. She went to Jackie Reyes's party, who would run for the council in Ward 1 in the middle of town. Neither of them are going to win. So just to say, like, the ability of powerful people to call the shots, at least this time, was pretty limited.
Is there a reason you think that is, Mike? Like, I don't know. Like, I think about social media and other low-cost forms of sort of spreading information, right, that aren't as traditional. Or is that kind of what's behind this, or do we really have no idea?
I think part of it is public financing, and also it's a city. It's not like a country where, even though in DC, there's plenty of people who don't really follow things, and advertising can help focus their minds. It's not as important. I have a theory of sort of the decline of traditional media. There's a lot of people. I live in Ward 3. I live in Upper Northwest, and a lot of my neighbors they're not from here. A lot of them work in politics or government or world affairs, but they're pretty uninformed about the city they live in. It's not their fault. It's just it's not their calling in life to find that out. And the decline of the Washington Post, the decline of sort of TV news, local TV news as like a habit for people. This all means there's sort of fewer inputs, and so the people who are getting informed are on social media, and they're getting served things because their algorithm suggests, like, this is the thing that's going to turn you on and you're going to be passionate about. And that helps a candidate like Janice Lewis-George. It helps the Democratic Socialist candidates because they have, like, committed, dedicated, devoted people in a way that, like, you're sort of like, well, the social safety net's good, but, so is business. Like, the kind of moderate people that don't have that kind of passion around them.
I think we can't underestimate, too, just like how people were so unenthused about the candidates this time. I mean, voter turnout was lower than it was last election. But even like our colleagues who are out talking to people at the polls, a lot of people like hadn't decided who they wanted to vote till pretty late. I mean, it's just people are just not excited about or hadn't been that excited about the candidate. So I think that possibly, plays a role into
just
it.
To be clear, some of the more enthusiastic Janice Lewis-George supporters said we in the media got that wrong. And, like, look, the fact that she, at least as of with 64% counted, has a majority, which nobody predicted, suggests that actually there were a lot of people who were enthused.
Those voters could have been like, I mean, just because it doesn't mean that they like knew for a long time that they wanted to vote for her. Yeah. Ultimately, they did decide to vote for her in the end because clearly with the percentages breakdown.
And just, if you look at where she's strongest, and certainly the mood of the room at her victory party, it's disproportionately a sort of a newer, younger Washington. So yesteryear's electorate may have been unenthused, but today's is different. I think we're going to have to wait on all the returns, which is sadly going to take a while before we can know that. But again, I guess this is the society we're in. It's like a much more divided, and like my reality is not your reality. And in fact, you are completely ignorant of my reality and what I'm excited about and what I'm bored with and so on. And that's the thing, the whole kind of system of trying to get people elected is going to have to get its head around.
I mean, it's kind of clear going off of that, just like this complete divide and misunderstanding just between like talking to these real estate brokers and developers and people in that world versus like the people that are actually living in the homes that they're developing. I mean, they're all just lamenting like rents are going down. There's this whole talk about, rents are going up, but they're like, in reality, it's not, and that, they're very stable or they're going down, and that's bad for business. So there's just like this complete disconnect of like these businesses, they're all just lamenting that it's, this is not good for the local economy, but, people that are living here are like, my groceries are more expensive, my rent is going up, gas is insane, the cost to park my car in my building is unreasonable. So there's just like, I feel like they're just not talking to each other really or understanding each other.
Before we bounce to talking about something much more fun, Jackie, what's your sense of, people who are in the business of like building housing or running businesses or employing people, when they're not the federal government? What do they think DC needs, and how does what they think DC needs differs from what the people who've had a good election night are likely to do?
I mean, the biggest talking point that I hear from, the real estate development world is that DC is just like not friendly to businesses, specifically building. I just spoke to one real estate broker today who told me that the people that he works with complain that it feels like the city doesn't want them to build. Every time they are, it feels like there's just like actively against them, and it doesn't feel friendly. And even before this election, in the last couple of years, they've been fleeing, like developers, and they don't want to build here because they don't.
So Janice Lewis George has promised to change zoning in ways that make it easier to build stuff. I think that doesn't change the fact that our local economy is in a tailspin because of the Trump cuts, and if you're, in a business that needs to make money, no matter what the zoning is, it may still be hard for you. But it's not like she's promising to line the developers up and shoot them. She has some proposals that have gotten enthusiastic support from YIMBYs and people who used to be in favor of bringing in more development.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously that will help, but it seems it's just like, it's not just zoning is what I'm hearing. It's just all of the above. And there's a lot of concern about her, policies around building like apartments and what will come with that. She wants, and I think for what it's worth, McDuffie also similarly had this in his policies of building out these affordable housing within, these buildings that they're going to make. But the issue is that there's a lot of delinquencies. It's really hard for them to evict people because of that.
Yep. And she's been very reluctant to kick people out who aren't paying.
Yeah, and she has this idea of these mixed income apartment buildings where it's like basically the really wealthy tenants can make up for a lower rent for low income folks. But one guy I talked to today was like, this is a utopian world that I don't think exists. He was like, in what world are high income folks going to want to subsidize people? And if, why would they choose to live there versus somewhere else? So I mean, ultimately, everyone wants it to succeed. These businesses want to have the incentives to build here. But I think when you look at like the minutia, it's a little bit trickier than just changing some zoning rules.
Night at the Museum is real this weekend at the Smithsonian's National Museum of the American Indian. From Friday, June 19th through Sunday the 21st, the museum is staying open late with free extended evening hours Friday and Sunday. There is so much happening. Curator tours, hands-on activities, and live performances all weekend long. Friday night, Grammy-nominated Hawaiian artist Amy Hanaiali'i takes the stage. Saturday, DJ Shub brings his award-winning Powwow Step dance party. And Sunday, the museum's own executive chef demonstrates traditional indigenous recipes using corn. Oh, and there is a giant plush llama named Andy that you can take a selfie with Friday and Saturday night. I've actually met Andy. He is adorable. And honestly, I feel like that should be reason enough for you to go. And the best part is, the entire weekend is free. For the full schedule of events, head to americanindian.si.edu. That's americanindian.si.edu, and I will see you there. I have a bit of good news to share from our sponsors at the DC Department of Behavioral Health. And that is that DC is turning a corner, and the numbers back it up. Fatal opioid overdose dropped 33% in this city from 2023 to 2024. Now, that is not just data. That's real people and real families that are still together. But listen, the work isn't done, and neither are we. If you or someone that you love is struggling, help is closer than you think. Text LiveLongDC to 888-811 to connect with treatment, housing, and recovery support right here in the district. Free Narcan is available at nearly 40 locations across DC because nobody should lose someone for lack of access. And if you're in crisis right now, call or text 988. Know your worth, know your alternatives, know your value, know yourself. Recovery is possible. Find out how at knowyourpathdc.com.
Don't miss Folger Theater's How Shakespeare Saved My Life, playing now through July 5th at the Folger Shakespeare Library. This autobiographical solo comedy by Broadway star Jacob Ming Trent has been called a vivid, deeply personal narrative about survival, resilience, and the transformative power of language by stage and cinema. Born with a gift for poetry but rejected as unfit to play the part of the poet, Ming Trent invites us to take a deep dive into the crevices of his youth. Calling on the bard and a host of genius rappers, half-crazed preachers, and soulful poets, he takes us on a propulsive ride that reaffirms the power of language and music. Tickets start at $20 and can be purchased online at folger.edu or by phone at 202-544-7077, Tuesday through Sunday, 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Get yours today. Hey guys, let's talk about Pride for a second. I saw somewhere in the social media hellscape a video from like the 80s of like a Pride parade in Washington. And they were like 50,000 people turned out, which was a very big number. And but they showed these pictures of, Pride parade going on, and like, at least in the old TV clip, like no one at the side of the road and stuff. And it was considered really amazing that the mayor of the city, Marion Barry, turned out. He was an early politician who understood the political power of the gay community. Is pretty different now. In those days, that the council had passed legislation declaring it Pride Week.
For starters, they probably didn't have as many Deloitte floats back in those days.
So tell me about that.
Kind of gone, the like corporate involvement, isn't that kind of dwindled in the last couple of years?
No.
Oh, it's still
It's still alive and well. I think, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, it has dwindled in the sense that like a lot of companies that did federal business suddenly got scared that this would get them on the wrong side of Trump's DEI crusade. A lot of more normal for-profit companies that just want to like be appealing to an audience of potential consumers are still very enthusiastically involved as sponsors. And that didn't used to be the case.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can bring out my IKEA Pride tote right now from last year if you guys want.
That's a bit of a drag. It's a little off-brand, if you ask me. Not for IKEA, but for Pride.
I went through a lot for that tote last year. I'll have you know. It was very highly sought after.
Is it a good tote?
It's very cute. It's like a mini, not to go into detail, but it is like a mini cute, Pride flag tote.
Does it have a Swedish Pride name?
No.
Is it like Prideborg or something?
No, but that would be hilarious. But no, this weekend is a huge weekend in DC. It's definitely not one to stay home. Obviously there's Pride and there's all the official events around Pride, including the parade, the festival, and the block party, which are, going on June 20th and June 21st. But there's also a ton of, unofficial events. Every single gay bar, club, in the city is having their own events. And then there's obviously Juneteenth and Home Rule Festival also going on this weekend. So everything has really been kind of crammed into this one weekend because a lot of the America 250th celebrations happening and nobody really wanted to share a weekend with the UFC fight. So everything has been designated for this weekend.
You published a Choose Your Own Adventure version?
Yes, I cannot go through all the events that I recommend in this podcast. There are too many of them, but we have a full sort of guide up on our website about how to make the most of Pride. We have low-key events, sober events, party events, EDM events. Truly, it is a choose your own adventure situation. David Archuleta is going to be one of the Grand Marshals.
Wait, didn't he just perform somewhere else?
Yeah. Apparently he's hot now.
His publicist is working hard.
Really working hard. And Monroe Elise will be the other Grand Marshal. She's an actress, but I'm not very familiar with her work, admittedly. But honestly, the millennial in me is kind of kicking and screaming about that. Very excited. But yeah, so a few, events that I do really recommend going to are... There's some music events. There's going to be a music festival at Bertha in Ivy City, which is sort of club EDM music. There's going to be a sapphic, lesbian pride party at Transmission. These are all on June 20th. And there's also going to be one at the French Embassy, a music festival at the French Embassy on June 20th. So between those three music festivals, I think you should be good to go.
That's an interesting one. So in France, the Fête de la Musique is a thing that happens on like the longest night of the year. And it dates to when the socialists first came into power there. And it was this it was against corporate. It was like regular people should go out in the streets and play music on whatever instruments they have. And, it's small d democratic. And it didn't really have any other cause it was attached to, but it was it's a really cool, beautiful idea because it is sort of the opposite of, I guess, having IKEA sponsor your float.
Yeah. No, I'm really excited for that one. I think it's going to be much more low key. It's family friendly. It's outdoors, and they're bringing in a ton of local musicians, also some professional musicians. The Duke Ellington School of the Arts is going to be performing there. So it's honestly just going to be much more relaxed. And if you don't want to be part of the sunburnt crowds on 14th Street, it could be a really great option.
Just if I want to be old school and just look at the parade, where should I go?
Yeah, this is always a question. 14th Street. The parade itself runs from 14th and T Street down to Freedom Plaza this year. It's a little bit shorter this year. Honestly, anywhere along 14th Street is good. I would stay on the west side because that gets more shade. That's my pro tip for you. And definitely do get there early. It's really not worth coming last minute because you just won't see anything. But stay hydrated, wear lots of sunblock, especially if you're wearing a skimpy little, mesh tank top, as I know everybody will.
When am I not wearing it?
Mike. But yeah, what's your experience with Pride, you guys? Do you have any hot tips or any events that, you want to shout out?
So this is my time to admit that I've never been to Pride in DC.
Oh,
but in
God.
my defense, it's usually in the beginning of June, which is when my birthday is, which also has kind of screwed me over because that has hurt my birthday plans because I have
can't
friends
compete with Pride. Yeah,
I know. But thankfully this year I really went out.
It's such a blast.
Pride was
You're
pushed
gonna have
off.
so much fun. Yeah, it's really
I know.
Pace yourself. Don't drink too much early on. Or honestly at all, if I'm being completely honest. Find a house of somebody who is along the parade route so that you can use their bathroom and get water. And other than that, I think just have fun.
All right. Well, I want to give a big thank you to our newest CityCast DC neighbor, Elizabeth W. Thank you for your support. Today, paid subscribers like Elizabeth W. get a bonus roundup chat. We're going to talk about the absolute mess that is happening on the mall as we gear up for America 250 and fight the algae bloom. If you want to be sure you always get the full episode, please become a member. Head to membership.citycast.fm and sign up. It's only $10 a month. Members get ad-free listening, exclusive members events, and an extra events newsletter each and every week. Again, that's membership.citycast.fm. And that's all for today here on CityCast DC. Our production team this week was Annie Reese, Julia Karen, and Jason Patton. Our newsletter writers are Emma Uber, Kayla Cote-Zimmerman, Ben Brash, Jackie Pizer, and me, Michael Schaefer. And our hosts are Bridget Todd and also me, Michael Schaefer. Music is by Alex Roldan, with additional music from Rue Walker, Philip Ayers, and Blue Lou from Triple Scoop Music via Getty Images. If you enjoyed the show, why not hop up on one of those parade floats at Pride and tell everyone about it? We're off tomorrow. It's Juneteenth. We'll be back Monday morning with more news from around the city. Bye.